From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Hannah Mordeau, and this is your News 8 Daily for Thursday, October 16th. Starting out mild outside in the 60s, kind of cloudy. That's what's keeping things somewhat warmer this morning. The clouds are going to go away as the day goes on. Expect sunny skies by this afternoon, highs in the low 70s.
We're spending more than ever.
I hate my job.
The price of everything has gone up.
AI is threatening my job.
It's crisis after crisis.
Nothing is working out.
I can't find a job. We're one disaster away.
Take control of change.
I need a change.
Disruption is the force of change. Stop the chaos. Stop the madness. Take control. Read James Patterson's Disrupt Everything and Win.
New on Daybreak, the Indianapolis Department of Public Works says it has reached a settlement with AES Indiana that would cut a proposed rate hike. Bills would still go up, but not as sharply as AES wanted. News 8's Hernan Gutierrez looked through the proposal and starts with how much more we would pay.
The settlement says that residential customers would see about a 6.5% increase to their monthly bill. AES says that equates to about $10 a month on average to the average bill. Now, this is almost half of what AES originally proposed. In June, the power company filed for a 13.5% increase with the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, or the IURC. The company cites an increase in the cost of maintenance as one of the reasons they need to raise rates. Businesses will also see an increase to their electric bills, although it is significantly less than residential customers. Under the new proposal, they will see an increase of about 3% or 3.75% based on the kind of business. All this comes as others like Governor Mike Braun have been vocal about reining in the cost of utilities in the state. Just last month, the governor talked about it as he looked to fill vacancies on the IURC. Braun told reporters the state was looking for commissioners who could remain objective but help keep rates low.
Our state must have reliable utilities without overwhelming Hoosier families with skyrocketing rates. Together, we will ensure that energy progress doesn't come at the expense of Hoosier ratepayers' ability to afford their energy bills.
Also last month, the City County Council unanimously passed a resolution asking AES not to raise rates. The Indiana Office of Consumer Counselor has also called on the company to lower rates. In the last hour, AES President Brandy Davis-Handy released a statement on the settlement with the city, reading in part, "Despite rising costs, we have been disciplined in our planning through measures like our operations and maintenance costs holding flat for the past 5 years." It goes on to say, "We have a deep commitment to operating efficiently and keeping rates as low as possible." Under the settlement, AES cannot ask for another rate increase until at least 2030. The Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission will still need to approve of any deal between AES and Indy DPW. The commission says that is not expected until spring of next year. I'm Hernan Gutierrez for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
The Metropolitan Development Commission has approved rezoning land that a West Side church wants to use to help house homeless people. Lyndhurst Baptist Church wants to build 10 duplexes for homeless people to live in on its property. The land is on Lyndhurst Drive near West Morris. Earlier this week, we told you it's the same area where the church is building 6 tiny homes for the same purpose. Some people who live near the church are criticizing the plan, saying it could bring crime to the neighborhood. The rezoning now goes to the City County Council for final approval. IU is getting very public criticism from one of its most famous and wealthy alums over the fracture between the school and its student-run newspaper. The dispute hinges on a school directive for the paper to stop publishing news content. The Indiana Daily Student says IU fired the director of student media when he resisted following the order, and the school went further, cutting the printed paper completely starting today. The student editors call the situation a violation of the school's student media charter. In a statement, IU says it's shifting resources from print to digital and that editorial control remains fully with IDS leadership, and the university will continue to work closely with them to ensure the strength, sustainability, and independence of student media at IU. Mark Cuban is siding with the students. The Hoosier-turned-billionaire entrepreneur entrepreneur writes in a post on X, not happy. Censorship isn't the way. I gave money to IU General Fund for the IDS, Indiana Daily Student, last year so they could pay everyone and not run a deficit. I gave more than they asked for. Told them I'm happy to help because the IDS is important to kids at IU. The IDS Alumni Association is also pushing back, posting on Facebook that the group sent the dean of the media school a letter reaffirming support of the editorial independence of student journalism at IU. Indiana State Police say 3 people are under arrest for a prostitution ring. News 8's Kat Sandoval reports the operation covered 4 cities over 14 months.
Police say the prostitution ring happened in legit businesses and homes, including this Noblesville home right behind me. Neighbor Samantha Scholes was going on a walk with her daughter.
I think it was this morning. We saw about, 8 or so police cars just lining the street.
Police raided this home for evidence, along with another home in Carmel and 3 massage parlors, 1 in Kokomo and 2 in Indianapolis. 35-year-old Yan Yan Zhao, 36-year-old Xing Chen Li, and 56-year-old Huey Lee were arrested on felony charges for corrupt business influence and promoting prostitution. The police investigation revealed that the suspects were using legitimate massage businesses as fronts for prostitution.
I think bad things can happen anywhere. We're just grateful that it was taken care of, and that I think there was an adult victim was rescued, so I think that's the most important part.
Police say the adult victim has been given support and shelter by the Indiana Trafficking Victims Assistance Program. It was a multi-agency investigation that led to a break in this case. Sergeant Stephen Glass wants to give a warning.
This happens more often than not, unfortunately. And those that decide they want to do illegal activity, let this case be a strong reminder that it won't be welcome in our communities.
Samantha is not surprised this happened despite living in a mostly quiet neighborhood. She says it can happen anywhere. Despite it happening in her community, she feels safe, she says, thanks to police.
People who are doing their jobs are doing their jobs, and this can happen anywhere. It just unfortunately happened where we all live.
The 3 suspects are currently in Howard County Jail. Reporting in Noblesville, I'm Kat Sandoval, Wish TV, wishtv.com.
Your statewide news network covers Randolph County, where police say, in their words, 2 Hamburglars are behind bars after the men stole more than 300 pounds of meat from a local help center. The Union City Police Department posted on Facebook that Juan Angriano and Justin Flint are under arrest. Officers say the 2 broke into the Union City Help Center freezer and took 315 pounds of hamburger and sausage, 36 hot dogs, 24 packs of bacon, 24 loaves of bread, and 16 pies. Investigators also say Flint is a suspect in a series of recent vehicle break-ins. Both men are now at the Randolph County Jail and face multiple charges. In the post, police said they thought they could beef with the law, but we caught them before things got too rare. Federal judge has temporarily blocked the Trump administration from firing federal workers during the government shutdown. Advocates for students with disabilities are watching the issue closely. They fear firings in the Department of Education would have devastating impacts on children here in Indiana and across the country. News 8 government reporter Garrett Berquist talked to them.
Federal law still requires public schools to provide equal educational opportunity to students with disabilities. Advocates for students with special needs say the administration's actions take away an enforcement mechanism. Indiana Department of Education statistics show more than 180,000 students in our state are enrolled in programs for children with disabilities. The largest categories include students with learning disabilities, language or speech impairments, autism spectrum disorder, and developmental delays. One advocate tells me she fears students with disorders such as autism might be sent home in violation of their education plans.
I think if they have behaviors, I think if they can't be assimilated into the classroom and follow expected rules and without accommodations, they'll be sent home.
Individual education plans and related 504 plans cover everything from extra instruction to how to constructively handle behavioral problems. If a school does not follow that plan, Deaton says parents can ask the U.S. Department of Education for help.
The Indiana Department of Ed works really well, and the schools work really well to help students get the accommodations and the resources that they need to be good students and to graduate, but that doesn't have to be reinforced. Indiana does a lot, but if you don't have to do it, then you're not necessarily going to do it, and that's the concern that we have.
The Trump administration has laid off about 4,100 federal workers since the government shutdown began. That includes hundreds of people at the Department of Education, including virtually every office dealing with special education and civil rights. I called the Department of Education's press office for comment for this story. I got a message saying the office was temporarily closed. Deaton says that could leave families without a last resort if a school fails to accommodate their child. And she says that means no single statewide standard for schools to follow. She says that means lost opportunities for students both with and without disabilities.
Typical peers learn from kiddos with disabilities in their classroom just as much as the kiddos with disabilities learn from their typical peers. And then you learn how to handle different people in your workroom, in your school classrooms, in your work environments when you're adult.
This afternoon's court rulings temporarily blocked the layoffs, but there's no word yet on further court action. I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Dozens of reporters have left the Pentagon after news organizations refused to sign new reporting rules from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Journalists from almost every news outlet walked out together at 4 yesterday afternoon. That was the deadline to agree to the government-imposed restrictions on their work. The rules bar outlets from reporting any information or even asking for documents from the Defense Department unless Hegseth approves it. The organizations refusing the new policy include Fox News, where Hegseth was an on-air host for a decade before President Trump named him to his cabinet. The head of the Federal Reserve needs numbers. He says the government shutdown is making it hard to make decisions that guide the economy. Amy Kiley reports on the data that is coming out and the dangers of the unknown.
I've seen numbers that are starting to hurt the economy.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the federal government shutdown is slowing the U.S. economy. His department estimates the impact is about $15 billion a week. The congressional impasse is dragging on. Lawmakers can't agree on whether to negotiate, let alone on how to fund the government.
I think this will be the longest shutdown in the history of ever.
The Federal Reserve Chair says he's starting to worry the shutdown will make it harder for the Fed to do its job. It relies on data to assess inflation and the broader economy.
We'll start to miss that data, and particularly the October data. If this goes on for a while, they won't be collecting it, and it could become more challenging.
Many experts say tariffs were starting to put pressure on the U.S. economy even before the shutdown. A new IMF report predicts they'll partly cause it to grow more slowly than the rest of the world in the coming months.
Tariffs tend to be significantly worse for the country that imposes them than the countries they're imposed upon.
The IMF says trade deals are lessening the blow from tariffs. Experts say that helped the U.S. stock market reach new record highs before trade tensions with China sent it on a roller coaster ride.
We do have these, I hate to say it, boom and bust periods. And invariably, what goes up does come down at some point.
I'm Amy Conley for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Let's go to Jane King now with your business headlines. She starts with a rice recall.
Well, there's stones in the rice, so that can certainly be a surprise. Now, this rice was sold at Target, Amazon, some other stores as well. So far, no illnesses or injuries have been reported in connection with this recall. It was announced by Ben's Originals. That's a brand involved here. Now, if you happen to have any of this Ben's rice, you can take it back to the store. You got it for a refund. Well, the Trump administration is preparing sweeping changes at the Internal Revenue Service that would allow the agency to pursue criminal inquiries of left-leaning groups more easy. This is according to the Wall Street Journal. It's an exclusive report, and it says that a senior IRS official involved in the effort has drawn up a list of potential targets that include many major Democrat donors. Now, the effort within the IRS coincides with a larger administration effort to probe left-leaning groups for helping finance organizations that the president says are creating anarchy and chaos in Democrat-led cities. Well, a new Goldman Sachs analysis says American consumers will shoulder about 55% of the cost from the tariffs this year. American businesses and foreign exporters will take on 22% and 18% of the cost respectively, and then 5% of the cost will be evaded. Goldman does add that American firms will pass on their costs to consumers over the next few months. And more people are concerned than excited about the rise of AI in daily life, with Americans topping the global worry list. That's according to a Pew Research Center poll. Public concern over AI could shape how quickly the tools are adopted, and it could upend workplaces if employees aren't comfortable. So men, those educated in technology and heavy internet users, were the most enthusiastic about AI. Stocks were kind of choppy yesterday. Investors keeping an eye on Washington as the shutdown enters the third week. We were supposed to get an inflation report today, but that will not be happening because of the shutdown. Live from the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Jane King. Back to you.
Back here in Indiana, a local group is urging new moms to nurse. One reason, to help ward off cancer. News 8's Malia Van Ostrin talked to the Indiana Black Breastfeeding Coalition.
Breast cancer impacts thousands of women across Indiana every year, but experts say breastfeeding lowers a woman's lifetime risk of breast cancer by up to 30%.
We know the inflammation can cause disease, right? And so when you do go ahead and breastfeed your baby, then it lowers that hormonal cascade, and it lowers that likelihood of inflammation. So the longer that you breastfeed, the better the benefits are.
According to Crenshaw, about 12 months of breastfeeding can reduce breast cancer risk by about 4 to 5%.
Black women are 40% more likely to be affected by breast cancer. And that's just one of those things that we can do very easily. Well, I guess it's not always easily, but with the proper support.
Crenshaw says that's because Black women face barriers to early detection and treatment due to lack of health insurance, limited access to primary care, and location. She also says Black women are also more likely to be offered formula in hospitals than white women, which lowers breastfeeding initiation rates. But in Indiana, 75% of Black mothers initiate breastfeeding, a large increase in the last 10 years. However, those rates are still behind those of white mothers. Crenshaw suggests mothers do monthly self-exams to learn about what is normal for their bodies.
We are experts on ourselves, and I know that oftentimes we feel like we have to fight to get our voices heard, right? But you will be more confident and secure in advocating for yourself when you know, no, I know that this is what my breasts normally feel like, and this is different.
Advocating for breast health is where Indiana Black Breastfeeding Coalition steps in to offer services and support to women. They're currently looking for more volunteers.
We definitely need volunteers to teach. Our community events, showing up in the community and being a liaison and talking to them about the coalition and making those connections. We need advocates that are going to be in the State House helping to change policy.
The coalition hopes the campaign will spark deeper conversations, not just about breast cancer, but about access, equity, and long-term health for Black mothers. In studio, I'm Leah Van Ostrand for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
This has been your News 8 Daily from Wish TV. I'm Hannah Mordeau. Watch us on Wish TV and WishTV.com.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at WishTV.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.